Hello, Jays fans, and welcome back to another video. We're taking a slight break from the World Series to talk about something a little bit more important and something historic. While the seventh inning stretch was going on during Game 5 of the World Series, people were applauding and celebrating Trey Yesavage after having an historic time on the mound, being only 22 years old and just doing incredible work. So, of course, we're here to pay homage to him today. And Brandon, I'm just going to throw it over to you. What are your thoughts of Game 5, Trey Yesavage, and everything that went on in between?
Yeah, but before we get into, the full-on hype train, I'll just read out his stat line real quick. He threw 7 innings, allowed one earned run, 3 hits, didn't walk anyone, and struck out 12 batters. Regardless of who you are, rookie, veteran, an all-star, and a Cy Young winner, that's that's as good of a performance as we've seen in the World Series in quite some time. I mean, obviously Yoshinobu Yamamoto threw a complete game earlier. He's been dominant this postseason, but Trey Savage just delivered genuinely, given the stakes of a 2-2 series, being on the road against the reigning champions. That's one of the best postseason performances, at least in the last 25 years. And I'm going to go out on a limb. If you know me and you've read my stuff before, I'm a bit of a baseball historian. I'm going to wage that was probably the second greatest rookie performance in World Series history, in all of baseball history. There's been quite a few performances. Whitey Ford in the 1950 World Series with the Yankees nearly threw a complete game to clinch that against the Phillies. Again, there's been tons. Obviously, baseball history goes on forever, but I'd say the only performance you could argue that was better than what you Savage just did was when Madison Bumgarner in 2010 threw 8 shutout innings against the Rangers to put the Giants in a 3-1 lead. Obviously, 2010 was their first of 3 championships in 5 years, but you can argue one, you could say Savage is third among that group. You could say it's the best one. Regardless, the point simply is that was one of the greatest rookie performances in the history of the World Series. There's been over 100 of these things at this point, well over 100 of these things at this point. It's amazing. We talked about it at the trade deadline, Ethan, that when the Blue Jays acquired Shane Bieber as like their only real starting pitcher acquisition, we were like, man, like, is that going to be enough? Obviously Kevin Gausman's there. We didn't know Jose Barrios would be hurt for October, but Kevin Gausman, Jose Barrios, what else? Max Scherzer is, on the last legs of his career. Like, what else was there going to be? Little did we know, Trey Yesavage, who threw 3 starts at the end of the regular season. He's thrown 14 regular season innings. He's thrown 26 in the postseason. He's been the best player on the team outside of like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It's amazing what he's done. I really, with words, I can't even begin to express how tremendous he's been.
I think, needless to say, in the 2026 season, we're going to be seeing a lot more of Trey Savage on the
Yes.
mound. But yeah, it was an incredible game. I mean, if people were watching, I always like to kind of give a recap of the people that, didn't get a single hit. And these are some heavy hitters to start with that didn't even produce a hit. For Shohei Ohtani, Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Muncy, and Tommy Edman. I mean, these are huge names. For not a single one of them to produce a hit, all because of Trey Savage, that is nothing short of incredible. I mean, Shohei Ohtani and Freddie Freeman alone is incredible. And for this 22-year-old kid who, like you said, has had more games in the postseason than in the regular season, that's almost unheard of at this point. So it is absolutely incredible to see. I think it's also just a really nice story to tell in the MLB because his family was there for this game. They got to see that happen. I mean, the fans were going insane. You really wanted to see him kind of finish it out for the last 2 innings, but that's kind of playing it unsafe.
Mhm.
After that, Sir Anthony Dominguez came in to finish it out. And then after that, for the last inning, it was Jeff Hoffman. But again, he had an incredible game and all props to him.
Yeah, again, I could go on with the baseball history stuff with all that's with all of the historical context and whatnot, but I think simply the point is that look, obviously, hopefully the Blue Jays win this thing. They have 2 chances at home to close it out now, which that's going to be electric if they're able to do it. At home, winning the World Series for the first time in 30 plus years, but. Even if this World Series doesn't end up going their way, the Blue Jays have uncovered their ace for the next hope 5 plus, hopefully 10 plus years. I mean, that is such a fundamental thing to do as a team. And again, you've already gotten him I mean, people talk about like these young guys, like Paul Skeens on the Pirates. Paul Skeens is a great pitcher, but the Pirates are terrible, so he doesn't get any He doesn't get any playoff experience. And so there's always those small questions of, he'll probably be good in the postseason, but we don't know that. Clayton Kershaw obviously has a history of one of the greatest regular season pitchers ever. He's never been very good in the playoffs. So Trey Yesavage has already answered those questions before he's even answered the question of is he a good regular season pitcher? It's amazing, and again, obviously, hopefully they win the World Series and Trey Yesavage wins MVP, and this goes down as one of the greatest stories in baseball history. But either way, it's just the Blue Jays have come out so far on top with this postseason run, going as deep as they have. Now one win away from winning this whole thing. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. establishing himself as one of the best players in baseball yet again. Trey Yesavage emerging as an ace. Jeff Hoffman's been dominant all postseason as the closer. It's just there's so many positive storylines to take away. And obviously, if they can close this out, that's the biggest storyline there is. So we'll
Yeah.
see what happens.
Yeah, it's a really great like you said. I mean, winning isn't everything, but it sort of is when you're a Blue Jays fan because screw the Dodgers at this point. But this story is about Trey Savage, of course. He's just a small town guy from Pottstown, PA. At the end of the day, who would have thought that he'd be pitching in the World Series after like you said, not being in the regular season so much. That's the real big story here. I'm sure so many people have so much to say. He's been in the news like crazy. We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What did you think of Trey Savage's performance, not only in this game, but also in throughout the entire postseason? We'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, and we will be responding to every single one.